I had a comment on the web that I can't reply to, so I decided to do a video. YouTube is blocking a lot of my replies. They're editing my videos and stuff. The comment, I'm trying to remember exactly what it said. It talked about, you know, the original sin of Adam and Eve, and it also was something to do with Mary being, you know, the virgin birth. Well, whether it's a virgin birth or not, the thought that popped in my mind when I read this comment was that what I want to tell people in my visions and thoughts and prayers is that I thoroughly believe that Jesus was born into sin just like all of us. Now, Mary had 23 chromosomes, right? And God gave him the rest, the 64. So he was born the Messiah, no question about it, because he had an awakened consciousness from birth. He had all that DNA. But those 23 that he had with Mary was what Satan preyed upon. And to me, that was the story of Jesus in the desert, being tempted for 40 days, while Jesus went to the desert and he had to do without food and water for 40 days. And he resisted those 22, 23 chromosomes that Mary had. We're all part of this makeup of genetically altered species. And even from the times of Jesus and Mary's genetically alteration was a lot less than ours. This is in my opinion. Today, our genetic alterations are tremendous. And Satan preys upon this. For example, we crave sugar and candy and foods, and we go to the store and we buy symbols, and we go to religions and we worship these symbols. This is our craving for Satan. And we have it. It's built into our DNA. We've been altered. We've been in, you know, look, Eve was tempted by Satan, right? But Adam eventually ate the apple also. So that cursed mankind for all eternity. And this bloodline that Jesus procreated with Mary purified humanity. And what's happening in the world is Satan has his people, and the bloodline of David, Solomon, Abraham still exist on this planet. And I'm hoping I'm answering this question that I cannot reply to. So we're all filled with this sin. I talk about the government, right? What are they doing? Geoengineering, weather warfare, fracking, smart meter radiation. They're just attacking us by all means. Satan is dying. He knows his time is limited. So he's just bringing out all his weapons, right? He's bringing out everything. Watch the TV. It's nothing but, it's just horrible. I mean, even when you watch comedy, they hate each other. Men and women. The war on men. You know, men are morons and women are superior. Bow down to a woman. Things like that. When God is a man, we're not supposed to worship men or women, you know. And they're worshiping women. They're raising ISIS in the war. They're raising the pagan god ISIS, right? They're doing all these things to steer people away from this grand delusion that's coming, that Satan is going to be wiped off the face of the earth. And right before he's wiped off the face of the earth, well, put it this way, I don't know what's going to happen to Satan. But I hate to say that he's going to be wiped off the face of the earth. So let's say a book of life is going to be written, and certain people are going to be taken within that book of life. And it is going to be the ones, because you have to understand something. Even sin of the physical body changes your DNA. Living in fear changes your DNA. People don't realize this, but it absolutely changes your DNA. So what's happening when you watch TV all day long? You're living in fear. Fear is literally altering your genetics. Fear only one thing, that's God. When you live a life and you only fear God, then your DNA is not altered. And what's happening, it's being renewed. So as judgment is being placed upon mankind, that's what the Mayans were talking about, the cycle of life, this renewal, this awakening period. Of course, the media called it the end of the world, which was totally fiction. So what we have to do is live without sin, live without these possessions, and then we've got to renew our original DNA, not fall for this altered chromosomes that Mary had, right? And when God gave Jesus' life, it was the bloodline of David and Abraham. It was the original bloodline that was not altered. It was the original renewal of humanity away from sin. And, of course, Adam and Eve's bloodline was tainted, you see? And that renewal of David and Abraham, you know, what was it, the killing of the ram, the sacrifice of the ram, these things, God renewed us a long time ago. And there's so many things that we don't know in this world, that religion hides us from us. And every day is a journey towards truth, and I'm just sharing my journey now. I'm not trying to tell you what to believe. I'm not trying to dictate your mind. I don't want you to take what I say and just encrypt it into your brain as truth. I want you to think for yourself. So I want you to take what I say and use it towards your own growth. Because maybe my growth might be a little bit, you know, advanced than yours. But we're all trying to grow towards truth, or you wouldn't be watching this video. So either you're a spook and you're working for the CIA, or you're trying to renew yourself. You're trying to renew your own genetics that were constantly, even with your foods, being tampered with. Constantly, if you notice, genetically modified foods and injections and flu shots. I mean, Bill Gates brags about genetically altering you and getting that population down. Because you have to understand something. These people, this spiritual warfare that I talk about, they know that if they kill you in the realm of hate and fear, and they trap you in the singularity dimension of hate and fear, or past. That's what the symbol of Isis is, the sun god and the symbol, the horns of the bull. Past is one horn, present is the sun and the symbol, the same thing Moses had that he destroyed, right? And then the future. So they would trap you in one of these dimensions. Some people live in Star Trek land, right? Some people live in the fear realm, and some people live in the past. They just go, oh, I wish I was born in the 50s. Or they're caught up in the past, like, oh, my boyfriend cheated on me, or my girlfriend cheated on me, so I'm just going to condemn you to death, and I'm going to make you suffer because I'm suffering, right? They haven't conquered their sufferings. And they're trapped in this realm of fear. And that leads to hate. Fear is definitely the path to the dark side. And it spawns all kind of emotions like revenge. There's a TV show, Revenge. This one happened to me, this happened in my life, and it killed my children, and I'm going to seek revenge. Well, you're trapped in a dimension, is what you're doing. That's why Satan is just broadcasting this out on his networks and his cell phones and his TVs, and he's using all his dirty energy to interrupt this pure energy, this pure light of God that's all around you. But you've got to purify the mind and the body and the soul, the heart. You got to carry all these emotions from the lower chakra to the heart. So many ways of defining. You got to separate yourself from the yin and the yang, right? You either got to be the yang, which is man, or you got to be yin or woman. A woman can't be energy. A woman is magnetism. A man can't be magnetism, right? It has to be energy. That's why the lesbian and the gay movement, these are the temptations. If a lesbian and a gay really studied the yin and the yang, then they would understand how they cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven on this ticket of fighting for gay freedom. No, you've separated yourself from your original covenant of God. That's all it is. You're trapped into a singularity. You know, fear. What do most gays and lesbians do when they come out? They live in fear. So what do? They release that fear and they say, okay, well, I'm gay. And then they flaunt their gayism all over the planet. What they're doing is what are they doing? They're helping Satan. And I don't hate the brothers and sisters that are gay. I'm trying to awaken them consciously. So what they're doing is they're broadcasting Satan. They're kind of like a cell phone with an apple on it, with a bite out of the apple, right? They're broadcasting the dirty energy. They're trying to say, oh, it's okay for a yang to be a yin and a yin to be a yang. It's not. The balance of life is offset. The atom can't operate that way. The atom of life, you have to be either negative energy or positive energy. You can't be both. Swing parties, that's all over the place. When I was 20 years ago, I was brought into the swing world. I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I taught martial arts. I'm like, this is the evil of yin and yang. We have to be balanced. The electron has to be the electron, and the neutron has to be the neutron, and that's water. Without our pure waters, that's toxifying the water of life, the tree of life. And the yin can't be the yang, and the yang can't be the yin. It doesn't work that way. And the Illuminati know all this stuff. That's why they promote it, and they give you money and march in the streets. That's why climate change, they never mention anything about weather warfare or chemtrails or chem bombs or chem dumps. They've never mentioned anything like that because all they want to talk about is tar sands. They disclose all the grand illusion that's coming, which is not all about chemtrails and starvation and food. I'm telling you, it's spiritual warfare. It's about Satan trying to raise his evil, and God is just saying, hey, choose love and you can have the kingdom of the light. If you can live in that love, that's why they cut your people's heads off, right? What happened when you climbed up that Mayan temple, right? This is what the kings and the queens did in the Mayans. They took these farmers. All the Mayans were farmers. That's what Easter Island was all about. They took these people and they brought them up and they said, oh, we got weather wars and all this famine and everything's happening. We got to sacrifice to the gods, right? So they would get these people that lived in fear, right? And they'd line them up. And they would bring them up and they would chop their heads off, right? Because what happens to fear? Fear raises from the heart. The energy of the soul of the heart raises to the brain. The left and the right. It's trapped in the left hemisphere in the brain. And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. You fear death, right? Well, people like us, we don't fear death. So you would take me up to the temple and you'd say, I'm going to whack your head off. You'd have to cut my heart out too. So that's what they do. They whack the head off. And if we didn't trap him in this singular dimension by cutting his head off, then we're going to cut his heart out. I'm telling you, it's spiritual warfare, guys. And don't think that they don't have guillotines lined up, ready to take the people who live in fear and sacrifice them. People might be us, might be the truthers. They might take us up, line us up, and whack, cut our heads off. Burning of the witches, remember? Who were the witches? Were they really evil or were they good? Sacrifice of Jesus Christ. We know he wasn't evil. We already know what path he walked in. Now he was tempted. He said, why have you forsaken me one time? But he went back and said, forgive them, for they don't know what to sin. In other words, he traveled, his anger, his fear traveled from the heart to the head, but right before he died, he went back to the heart. You follow me? And that's what anger does. That's why they're trying to lock up all these violent offenders right in jail, because they know that these men have heart. And when people that have heart, when they get angry, they boom, they explode. But then they go right back to the heart. And the people, listen to this, and I'm going to just tell you this, the people who are okay with the world, who the people who just live in fear always, they don't ever explode. And the world has taught you that listen to this, you really need to know this. The world has taught you that people that explode in anger, right, that they're evil. No, it's the opposite. These people live in the heart and they explode in anger and then all of a sudden they go right back to the heart. To where you, who think that you're normal, you're just constantly living, you're like Walking Dead. You don't have any emotions. You're always angry. Always. You're always living in hate and fear, revenge. You're chasing money. Money is you wake up in the morning, I got to get some money, I got to get some money. Maybe I can marry a guy for money. Maybe I can marry a girl for money, right? you're just constantly living in this singularity dimension of hate and fear. I'm telling you. So you can listen to me or not. And that's why we get an 800% incarceration, because they could easily drone strike the men who, look, when you lock somebody up in a prison, you're trapped. What do? Except get angry. So you take those people and you conform them to living constantly like a walking zombie. Now, some of them get trapped in that. Some of them are still in prison and they're still not walking zombies. The prison just hasn't conformed them. They just have that. It's like Jesus was in the desert for 40 days, right? It's the same theory. That's all jail is. You ever wonder why these men are just trapped in prison and they don't get out in the world? They don't do anything for society? We get all this famine and hunger and all these people. We need works, we need laborers, we need houses built. I mean, we could just take all the men out of prison and start building houses, and our houses will go down to $20,000 where they used to be. But no, we don't want that. I'm telling you, this is all about trapping people in dimensions, killing this bloodline, whacking off people's heads. But overall, God will win this war. Good always wins. So you have to stand with the Lord. Read Luke chapter 21. No matter who turns against you, you got to stand with him, and he will put the word of his words in your lips, in your mouth, in your mind, in your heart. And you'll be able to connect with these frequencies. That's what he tells you. He commits that in Luke chapter 21. Read it. Stand with me, and I'll give you all. I'll let you into my kingdom. And that means wisdom. That means your lips speak his words. That means everything. There is nothing that Satan has to offer me. Once I've entered into this kingdom of truth and God and light, Satan can't touch you. And that's why Jesus said, I don't want it. I don't want the world after he spent 40 days in the desert. He said, I don't want it. And one of the reasons why I film chemtrails and geoengineering in the sky is because I want people to look up. Look up. That's where God is. At night, you look up at the stars. During the day, you look up at the sun. Remember they said, what is the medical doctor? Oh, don't look at the sun. It'll blind you. You're instant blind. Oh, shut up. You can look at the sun. Squint your eyes. But know that that energy of light is there. Okay? Just know that it's there, and it's love. And right now, you've got two choices: fear or love. Don't get trapped in fear. Thanks for listening.